USCIS is more strict than ever in denying cases for fraud, and they are looking for fraud wherever they can find it. And the scariest part is not that people are getting flagged for lying, but they are getting flagged for small, innocent mistakes. And once this happens, you can face delays, face denials, and even be placed in removal proceedings, all because of simple oversights. But here is the good news. Once you understand what USCIS is looking for, you can protect yourself. So let's go through some of the biggest mistakes that USCIS thinks are signs of you committing fraud, working our way up to the biggest mistake that catches more people than anything else. So make sure you stay tuned until the end. The first mistake that USCIS considers as fraud is when the information that you submit does not match, not just on the forms, but also on anything that you have ever submitted. And when one detail does not add up, it doesn't look just like a simple typo, but rather like something else. It makes them think that you are trying to hide something. And you would be surprised at just how small some of these contradictions are. Even putting down a nickname that you've never used before on another form, or having a job that is different on your LinkedIn profile than what you've put on your application can be signs of fraud to them. And once you start to look suspicious, it can make you go from being a regular applicant to someone treated with much more scrutiny. And the best way to protect yourself is just to make sure that everything fits together perfectly before you file with USCIS. Keep complete records of everything that you have ever submitted and a personal record of every date, address, place of employment, and every immigration form that you have ever filed. Check each application line by line against what you have previously submitted and anything that you have even ever said before. And if you are unsure about an answer, don't guess. Find the right information before you submit. Next, what you submit online can undo everything you've done on your immigration case. And most people don't realize this until it's too late. Officers now review people's public information online as part of their fraud detection screening. And underneath Trump, they are doing it much more aggressively than before. It doesn't matter whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If it's available online, they're going to find it and see it and compare it against what you have put down on the paperwork. And anything that is discrepant can raise a suspicion. For example, people filing for marriage green card cases get flagged for the smallest things, and these things can seem harmless, such as still having single listed on their profile, keeping dating app accounts active, never posting photos of themselves with their spouses, and even small differences in dates, such as for anniversaries, engagements, or other posts that do not match the timeline in your application or as verbally testified to during the interview. All of these things can make the officer think that you are hiding something, and employment posts can be just as dangerous. For example, it can look like unauthorized work when you post a LinkedIn update showing a different company or job title than what is currently on your visa petition. Posting an Instagram story taken at a workplace that is not listed on your paperwork, a picture of you helping out at a business that is owned by a family or a friend. And also, starting this past year, officers are also paying very close attention to what they view as anti-American posts. Officers are now reviewing any posts that criticize U.S. policies, especially those relating to Israel, share politically controversial opinions, or show support for causes that they consider to be hostile to American interests. So be careful about what you post online, especially when it comes to political or social issues. I know it may feel deeply un-American to have to filter your free speech, but consider that these things can be used now to hold against you your ability to get a green card or even potential citizenship in the future. And unfortunately, this is the reality that we are living in right now. And remember that privacy settings may not actually keep your information private. Even if your account is locked, people can still take screenshots of your posts or share them publicly, and deleted content can still be recovered through archives. So before you file anything new, make sure you consider what sort of activity you have engaged in online and review your entire online presence carefully. Make sure that everything you post is consistent with your application and clean up any content that could be misunderstood. However, doing it all at once could also look suspicious, and deleting a whole bunch of content before an interview will be red flagged. Instead, it's best to change course one small post at a time. And remember, your online story has to match the story that you tell to officers through your forms and through your verbal testimony. And the more everything matches, the safer you will be. Real quick, if you are enjoying this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay up to date on all of my latest videos. Doing so helps this information get to more people who need it the most, and it will help us make more videos that you like to see in the future. The next thing that could make you get flagged for fraud has nothing to do with what you actually put in your application, but rather who helps you to prepare your application. Across the country, thousands of people have been hurt by persons calling themselves immigration consultants, notarios, or paralegals. In many countries, a notario público is somebody who is respected, but in the United States, a notary public is not a legal expert, and they are not allowed to give legal advice, buy your case, or even charge you for it. Yet they do this and destroy lives every single day. And these fake helpers can even file applications for which you do not absolutely qualify, and sometimes they even make up evidence or commit other fraud on your application in order to get it filed. And by the time you might find out, this false information has already been filed and becomes part of your public record with USCIS. I have seen people end up in removal proceedings, lose their green cards, and be denied applications, all because of the supposed help that they received from notarios. And it's not just scammers. Sometimes even licensed attorneys can cause as much damage as someone who's unauthorized to provide legal work. A bad lawyer might tell you it's okay to work before your work authorization is approved, or forget to respond to USCIS on time, both of which can put you at risk of denial or deportation. So here is what you need to remember. If anyone promises you guaranteed results, guaranteed approvals, or unusually low prices, it's probably too good to be true. In immigration law, shortcuts are almost always scams. Also, only two kinds of people are allowed to legally help you with immigration cases: licensed immigration attorneys and accredited representatives who work for legally recognized nonprofits. So before you hire anyone, take 2 minutes to verify their information and credentials through either a state bar or the Department of Justice. A real professional will never be offended that you checked or asked for a bar number, and it could save your entire case. Next, I'm about to share the #1 mistake that immigrants tend to make that gets them flagged by USCIS. But before I do, I want to let you know that I am accepting new clients. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years. If you would like my help on your legal case, give us a call at 212-248-7907. Even though we are based in New York, we work with clients all over the United States. So no matter where you are located, if you have the type of immigration case that we can work on, we would love to help guide you through this complicated system. Okay, the #1 mistake that gets immigrants flagged by USCIS is when you are hiding the truth because you are scared. People do it all the time. They leave something out, change an answer slightly, and always do so thinking that it's going to protect them in their case. Maybe it was a past arrest that was dismissed. Maybe they worked at a job they were not authorized to work in, or they have a child from a previous relationship that they think does not matter. They say things to convince themselves like, it happened so long ago, they'll never find out, and there's no record of it anyway. But that is not how it works. USCIS can see pretty much everything, even records that were sealed or expunged. They have access to FBI databases, biometric information, fingerprint matching information, and other sources of information from DHS and the IRS. And they cross-check your travel history, your work history, and residential history with records they can find online. So the truth comes out eventually. And when it does, they don't care that you were scared. They only care that you were trying to hide the truth. And that's what makes this mistake so devastating, is that it's almost completely preventable. The original problem, an old arrest, a visa denial, an unauthorized employment, could have been something that didn't prevent you from getting approved. But now that you've hidden the truth and tried to lie about it, that's when the problem arises in your case. Therefore, even if it's uncomfortable, you must reveal and be truthful about all details. USCIS can forgive a lot of things, but they do not forgive dishonesty. And once your credibility is questioned, everything else becomes much harder. So if you are ever unsure about whether to disclose something or not, remember, a licensed immigration attorney who's experienced can always guide you best. Hiding the truth out of fear doesn't protect you, it gets you flagged. Now, these are not the only ways that USCIS is trying to crack down on fraud. Just this month, USCIS took an even more aggressive step, turning itself from a benefits agency into an enforcement agency. For the first time in history, USCIS now has armed officers with the power to investigate, make arrests, and eventually use deadly force. It has completely changed what could happen at interviews, site visits, and fraud investigations. So in my next video, I will break down exactly who these officers are, what powers they have, and what this means for your immigration case. I'll include a link to that video here. Click there and I'll see you next.